freedom and beauty to everyone. I am the Technomage, and welcome to my review of The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 8, The Return, Season Finale. Here it is, the grand finale for this honestly very lackluster season in comparison with Season 1 and Season 2. But I have to say, this episode is better than the last one, but honestly, that's not saying much because the previous episode was terrible, and this one is, well, you can tell that the production was more competent. You'll see what I mean. So the episode begins where we left. Bo-Katan is retreating with her warriors. Axe, one of the Mandalorians, managed to escape and is flying to the fleet to warn them of the impending attack of the Imperials. Now, let's remember that the fleet is in high orbit. All right, remember that, or lower orbit, but it's in the atmosphere above the clouds, which means it's really, really high. And now suddenly the Mandalorians have no problems with with about running out of fuel on their jetpacks. Yeah, you was, and by the way, that happens again. So Din Djarin was captured, and honestly, I thought he was going to be rescued by somebody else, but I have to say, I'm surprised he actually saves himself in a honestly very good fight scene. Well, actually, he was saved because Grogu followed him on the IG-11 kangaroo suit. So then Jaren decides that they have to work together to find Moff Gideon and finally put an end to his plans once and for all. So Moff Gideon is tracking Din Djarin. He says he's going to take care of him himself. Mando contacts R5. Hey, I didn't know they actually brought him along to hack the computers and give him Moff Gideon's location. Axe reaches the fleet and tells them Bo-Katan, an attack is coming. All of you, go to the surface and support Bo-Katan. Now we have this really good scene. Honestly, this fight scene. Din Djarin reaches this place where the new dark troopers are with these force field doors, and R5 opens them one by one so Din Djarin can fight the dark troopers without being overwhelmed. And honestly, it's a very good fight scene. This time, Din Djarin actually fights like a competent warrior. I have to say, I really like this one. So he defeats all of them, and they reach this laboratory, which is filled with Moff Gideon clones. This was his project of cloning. He was cloning himself. So the survivors lead Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians to this secret garden, this underground garden where Mandalor's native flora survived the Great Purge. And honestly, I like this scene. This was a beautiful scene, honestly. A symbol of hope that Mandalore endures. And honestly, it's a beautiful garden, a beautiful farm, however you want to call it. So the Mandalorians on the fleet finally arrives, and Bo-Katan leads the charge in what is honestly a amazingly shot and composed aerial fight. And it's amazing. Bo-Katan cutting dark troopers with the dark saber, the armorer kicking arse with her hammer, Din Djarin finally encounters Moff Gideon, who is not happy about the death of his clones, and we find out why he was so obsessed with Grogu. He wanted to isolate the genes that produce force sensitivity and give it to his clones and create an army of force sensitive himself to bring order to the galaxy. So they finally fight. Again, we have a very good fight scene, but Moff Gideon has power a power armor which grants him enhanced strength. The Praetorians appear again, and Grogu drags, leads them away from Din Djarin. We continue with the other fight, and as I said before, now the Mandalorians, nobody has any kind of problem about jetpacks running out of fuel because everybody is just flying around and nobody has to land. Grogu has a little cat and mouse game with the Praetorians. Din Djarin is getting his arse kicked, but Bo-Katan arrives and saves him. And she sends Din Djarin to help Grogu while she has her revenge fight with Moff Gideon. And then we have this really nice, again, very well choreographed fight scene of father and son fighting side by side against the Praetorians. Axe is coming in hot with the falling light cruiser, which he is directing to the Imperial base. Bo-Katan also has problems with the powered up Moff Gideon, and he breaks the Darksaber. But Din Djarin and Grogu come back, and amongst the three manage to corner Moff Gideon, and everything was going so well with all this fight, this combat. It was all so well written and choreographed and act. But then here comes the light cruiser. It crashes. And that is all the explosion we get. Alright, I know a light cruiser is a small ship, a smallish ship, a smaller ship. It's not a Star Destroyer. But still, it's a very big spaceship with a very powerful power source, and who knows how many tons upon tons of fuel, very volatile fuel, by the way. And this is all the explosion we get. And oh, what? Are you kidding me? They actually survived. Grogu uses the Force to create this Force bubble and protect them from the fire. He doesn't have nearly training enough to accomplish a feat like that. And let's remember, in Star Wars Rebels, Kanan Jarrus did the same in a smaller scale, protecting his friends from the explosion of a group of fuel tanks, and he died. But Grogu survived, and the base is intact. A light cruiser fell from the atmosphere directly into this base, and there was no explosion, and even the impact of this falling ship did nothing. There are still lights on. You can see the structures inside this base are intact. Nothing happened. Oh, and as I said, this episode was doing so well. Oh, but anyway, whatever. The Mandalorians recovered their planet. Ragnar finally completes his initiation ritual, and Din Djarin announces that Grogu will be a Mandalor start his Mandalorian training because he has decided to adopt Grogu as his son, and the armorer names him Din Grogu. Wait a minute. Din was actually his last name, not his first name? Huh, I had no idea. So Grogu is officially a Mandalorian, and we get this final look of the Mythosaur. Yeah, remember the Mythosaur that appeared last episode, and then nobody talked again about the Mythosaur? I mean, nobody even mentioned the Mythosaur. Well, nobody talked about the Mythosaur in this episode, like at all. If they hadn't included this scene on this episode, honestly, I wouldn't have even remembered about the Mythosaur. The Mythosaur was completely inconsequential for this season. And they were and Bo-Katan was so excited that she saw a living Mythosaur in the living waters, and they never used the Mythosaur on as a plot device on this season. The Mythosaur was completely wasted. So the Great Forge is lit once again. And we had that lovely scene on the Mandalorians finally, all of them together in their home planet. Din Djarin goes to speak with. Oh, seriously, Filoni? Can you not just stay just one episode away from the camera? Ugh. Well, Din Djarin goes to speak with the captain because now that he's training Grogu, he needs work. So he offers his services as a independent contractor bounty hunter to capture imperial warlords for the New Republic, and in exchange, as a first payment, he wants this IG unit head. So he gets it. He goes back to Nevarro. Grifa gives him a land deed for a small cabin outside of the city, and we see that IG-11 has been repaired, and he is now the new marshal for Nevarro. And we have a lovely final scene of Din Djarin and Grogu enjoying their new home, and that's the end. And yes, this final episode, this season finale, was quite good, but it should have been better. It must have been better. Yes, it is a good last episode for a honestly very disappointing season, because season 1 of The Mandalorian was incredible. Season 2, some people have some complaints. I honestly don't. I really enjoyed season 2. But season 3, it has so many problems with dialogues, with script, with acting. Some really, really dumb decisions across the episode, across the season. Some really wasted opportunities that shows some serious problems with the production of the season. What is happening on Lucasfilm? What am I saying? We know what is happening in Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm is almost dead under the awful leadership of Caitlin Kennedy. And we can tell because the quality of this season was low, really, really low when we compare it to the first two seasons. I mean, and there is no excuse for this. There was no reason for this season to be this bad at all. So, my final verdict for The Mandalorian season 3, it's a 5 out of 10. It was average at best. I'm really disappointed about this, and The Mandalorian was doing so well after the disaster that was the sequel trilogy and many other Lucasfilm Star Wars projects, like for example the High Republic, which was awful. Kenobi was awful, and now The Mandalorians is also awful. Ugh. So this is the Technomage signing off. Thank you for watching. I will see you all in the next video. If there is a Mandalorian season 4, let's hope it's much better than this. Goodbye.